Good
How are
morning,
you?
Erika. I'm going to make it a thing. Good morning, Erika.
I don't know who you become for this segment. I'm literally like, what happened to Jessica Rose? Okay. Jessica Rose met my kids last week.
I did. They were
What'd you
so
think?
cute. They were really sweet. I had never even seen a picture of them before.
Really? Yeah, no, it's so
you're
funny.
you're like
Very
a master
private.
of keeping them off the internet.
I know I am.
It's kind of crazy.
It's
I've never
amazing. I
seen
work hard
anyone
at
be
it.
so like, you don't have a Finsta, do you?
Mm-mm.
Nothing. Wow. Do you have pictures of them in your house at least?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I have like a million pictures. I'm just like, it's not for the internet.
Got you. Okay. That's fine.
Okay, so what are we doing this week?
So this week, as you know, I'm going to be out.
Okay. Let's talk about that for a second.
Yeah.
What are you going to be doing?
So we're getting the face snatched. We're doing
Is that
a little...
technical term?
Yeah, I think that's exactly the
What
term
is
that they
this
use.
technically called?
So it's technically called facial feminization surgery.
Facial feminization surgery.
Yes.
Okay,
So-
which means what?
They're basically going in and like taking my existing features and feminizing them and making them softer. So like for me, I did imaging this past Friday.
Okay.
For me, what they're going to be doing is they're going to be taking like my jawline in a little bit and like taking my chin out and like narrowing
Do you have an
it.
Adam's apple?
Kinda. You'll clock me.
Is that bad?
No.
I'm just you don't look like you have one.
It's very small.
Like
They're not taking.
you were lucky. You
Yeah.
don't, like, do people who have a big one, or does that get included in this thing?
It can be. Yeah.
Okay.
So when I went in for imaging, that was something that I kind of didn't mention on my onboarding.
Okay.
So they didn't submit that for my insurance. So
Okay.
that is not going to be on this particular surgery. But like, I also think it's better that it's not.
So sorry. So insurance covers what?
All of it.
Interesting.
God bless you, United.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, so they're covering, because of my doctors, the doctors that I go to are like some of the best people to make
For
sure that
gender
they can
transformation.
for gender. Yes.
What's the name of your doctor? What like type of doctor is it?
So the doctor that I go to is specifically a doctor in New York that's dedicated to like trans care.
Okay.
So they're the best in New York for that kind of care. So they know they know how to write the letters that
and
they
like
had to write for my
specifically
surgery.
the transformation.
Yes.
Is that by like when you have a cold, you're not going to this guy?
He's to everything. He's my primary physician, and like on top of it, because they also have to monitor my like estrogen levels as opposed to my testosterone levels, and like they can do everything. I mainly go to him for the
Transformation.
transgender like HRT and all of that stuff. But
Okay.
yeah, like he is, I think, technically a full primary physician.
And is he free, or is it like a concierge doctor?
Through insurance, it's a lot less. Like, I mean,
Okay.
for a while I didn't have insurance and I was
Yeah.
just paying out of pocket. And
Yeah.
even that wasn't the doctor's visits weren't too crazy.
Uh-huh.
My medications obviously
Are
can
expensive.
get like pricey.
Yeah.
Estrogen's really expensive, but most of it is like covered under insurance.
I use estrogen cream on my face.
Do you really?
Yep.
You don't
Do you
need
know-
it.
Yes, I do.
Why?
I also need feminization.
What does that do?
It produces collagen.
Oh.
You're like supposed to use it in your vagina, but my dermatologist says to use it on your face. Yes.
Oh my God.
Mm-hmm. You
Are
should
you
try
supposed
it.
to?
Yeah, my dermatologist said to do
Okay.
it.
Well, I don't know, because you use that Bay of Beauty scrub
Yeah, you're
on
probably
your
not.
face, and it's not really meant to
I
be
know,
that.
but it's so good. So this is so do you wait a long, I feel like the surgery came up quickly.
It did. So I submitted all my paperwork in November.
Okay.
And
Is it a lottery? Is it?
No,
what?
no. So I'm very fortunate. I approached probably like the best surgeon in America for sure, but like
Okay.
probably one of the best surgeons in the world for this type of surgery that I'm getting. And I was very fortunate that like he works very closely with my doctor's office.
Okay, got it.
Like
they go hand in hand
refer
a little bit. Okay.
people to him a lot. Like they didn't tell me like, oh, this is the physician you should go to. I did my own research.
Okay, got it.
And somebody that I know just had it in December.
Okay.
So they
And
were
do they
pretty
look
much
different?
Yes. She
So am I
has
going to
healed.
recognize you?
You will. It's not changing my whole face. It's like it's just feminizing stuff. Like I'll still look like me. It's just like a more feminized version.
Ooh,
of
okay.
me.
So what are you going to do?
Yeah. So like they'll take my chin out, narrow it.
Okay.
They'll like take away all this
Oh man,
Chopped.
that's amazing.
I know, love them.
You don't have to be going through transformation for that. Okay.
I'm obsessed with the fact that that's happening.
Okay.
They'll take my brow bone and like move it up.
Okay.
And like kind of shave it down so that light will naturally
hit off
like
of it?
hit differently and more in a more feminine way. So that's pretty much it.
How do you feel about it?
It's scary.
Yeah, it's scary.
Yeah, it's a scary thing. A little. I mean, like I am more in the mindset of like I got to get this done before it gets yanked away.
Yeah, 100%. That's
by our lovely president.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that
Are you worried about how much it's going to hurt?
Yeah, I have a really high pain tolerance. So like, and they're going to have me on crazy drugs. So like, I'll be out.
I'm just imagining Jessica Rose with like that, like in the old fashioned days when they when they had the toothache.
Yeah. I'll have a jaw bra. I'll have the whole thing. Yeah.
Oh my God, this can be so funny.
Yeah. Yeah. There will be no photographic evidence of this whatsoever.
That's too bad, Jessica Rose.
I refuse to allow that to happen. But
okay, so we are going to be thinking of you.
Thank you.
And sending you food delivery. Maybe we'll send.
You'll have my replacement while I'm gone.
So we're gonna have Lauren here. Yeah. We're gonna have Lauren,
and she'll be filming with you next week.
Yeah, Lauren's gonna do this.
Exciting.
We'll see how that goes. Do you think she's nervous?
I think she'll be great.
I think she's nervous.
She's nervous, but she'll be great.
She's definitely nervous. We had a meeting yesterday. She's freaking the fuck out. I'm like, I'm the easiest cat out there.
That's
like,
what I keep telling her.
Like, I'm the easiest person at this place. Nobody believes me.
Nobody believes me either.
I know. Why do I seem so? I need feminization surgery. I mean, kinder, gentler Erika, where the light bounces off me instead of me yelling at people. All right, what are we doing then this week? Without you?
So ironically, this is like a pretty kind of crazy week for you.
Okay.
So we do have you have a few one-on-ones in the morning.
I feel like Jessica's reading like a menu. It's like what you can eat. Like I get a choice for any of this, which I don't, and I pay for all of it. Okay. All right.
So
we have Tom Mullins coming.
Yes, Tom Mullins is coming to meet you on Monday. He very graciously.
So I'm coming here. Okay.
You're coming here to the office.
Okay.
So he's coming to see you in the morning. You have a few one-on-ones. You do have our Schoolhouse content and marketing meeting.
Okay.
To go over all things marketing for Schoolhouse.
Okay.
You also have a big budget meeting in the afternoon at 2 p.m.
That sounds fun.
And then org transformation. And the exciting thing of the day, because there's
my
a bunch of
one-on-one with
programming meetings. Yeah, that's. I mean, if you're excited about that, that's great.
I had a one-on-one with Abe, the finance guy here, who I love Abe, and Abe and I had a one-on-one this week, and it was 12 minutes. He was like, "What do you need from me?" I was like, "Nothing." I'm like, "What do you?" I'm like, "What do you need from me?" He's like, "Nothing." And I was like, "All right, see you later."
All right. Well, maybe the Monday will be the
finance.
That'll be the same thing on Monday. Who knows?
Okay, then we have a programming meeting.
Yes.
Okay, which is great. My friend Kieran's running that. She's doing such a good job.
Is she good?
You should really give Kieran a shout out. She's doing a great job running.
Good job,
meeting.
Kieran. And then you have
at 5
Jellycat.
o'clock. So if anybody listening to this knows how to get into the Jellycat Cafe at FAO Schwartz, please, I will do anything.
Are you bringing your kids? Is that what you're doing?
I'm trying to bring my daughter, but
I figured.
The reservations are like months out, and you have to call. Like it's like back
I'm literally
to the,
looking at it. It's
it's booked
every single day, every single time.
On the 10th at 5, or they open up at 5 o'clock on Monday. So it's like I got to get that. All right, what else are we doing?
So that's your Monday.
Yeah.
The following day, Tuesday, you have your weekly exec meeting to start off the morning. Tequity.
I think the Tequity one can go away.
Okay, great. That will get chopped. You have your weekly business review.
Business review, great. Yep.
The first one of the weekly recurring.
Yeah.
You also have a monthly meeting with Vice Media, because now that you've joined the board, they've had you to those. So are you excited about being on Vice? Yeah.
What do you think about it?
Great.
I love it.
I can't. Are they going to have you involved in like the programming?
No, probably not.
Oh,
maybe one day.
They think they should. I think you should push for that.
I don't know. I have enough to do.
I know that's true. You have enough to do here without their stuff. So you have that. Then we're filming another episode of the podcast.
And I have some candidates.
Yes, then you have some candidates, and that's your Tuesday so far. Wednesday you are going.
Like, why is there nothing happening on Wednesday?
That there is stuff happening.
Wednesday we're going to DC.
Wednesday we're going to DC for the inaugural Women's Lacrosse League Championship.
Yes, Champ Series game. I'm excited for that.
And you're going to be potentially doing a little fireside chat there as well.
Well, that's exciting, Jessica.
So that'll be fun.
I hope they give me a sweatshirt.
I'm sure they will. I'm sure they'll do a sweatshirt. You've given them a lot of promo.
I have a sweatshirt?
I'll ask her. Yeah, I think didn't they already give you one?
No.
Wait, when you went and filmed with them, the promo, they didn't give you one?
No, they gave me a hat.
Oh, yeah. I'll message her.
Got lost with the sweatshirts. Okay.
Okay. So that's your Wednesday. Then you'll be coming back
Thursday. It's like a kick in the ass. That's going to be a problem.
Yeah.
We should give Lauren the heads up. That's going to have to get rearranged.
Yeah. I can also work on that.
Okay.
I don't know if you want to have that weekly audience. I'm assuming you kind of want to shift that since you're going to be coming back that day. I think I have to
figure out what time I'm going to leave. Okay, fine.
Yeah. Okay. So once
we know that
Swiss gets that information over to me, then I will reconfigure accordingly.
Okay.
Yeah. I was texting him earlier about it.
Yeah,
so,
I'm sure. Jessica Rose is on full-on nag patrol.
I'm like
Jessica Rose,
fully like in Swiss's inbox.
You're in
like,
this girl,
which
is good.
Right
You're so
now.
nice. You're doing a great job. You're so nice. Okay.
So we will reconfigure, but I think probably
a lot of process.
1 p.m. on can stay. Probably, I would assume.
Yeah.
So you have the design to market process meeting. That is like a whole 2-hour block major meeting.
Okay.
You have another strategic initiative deep dives meeting.
Okay.
And then monthly financial review. There's going to be the merch production process and the trade follow-up call. So lots and lots of
great
like initiative meetings and production meetings and all sorts of fun stuff. And then hopefully Friday, you can kind of breathe a little bit.
Okay, a bunch of one-on-ones.
You have a bunch of one-on-ones throughout the day. And then we also have a target audience discussion to see who we want to target as an audience through 52. Really self-explanatory there. And then, you have a 3-month check-in at the end of the day. And that's your week.
Okay.
Lots of stuff.
Well, good luck.
Thanks.
You're going to keep me posted?
I will.
Okay.
I'll text you.
You will.
Cool.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you, Jessica Rose.
Thank you, Erika.
Now work.
All right, welcome back to work. I'm Erika. We're starting with our tips and tricks section. The story I'm going to give you is this one. So Sunday morning, I guess, I woke up Sunday morning and there was an email from someone on our board that was sent at 2:06 Eastern time. So it was like an 11 p.m. email. My first indication was like, oh man, this person just had like a bottle and a half of wine and now they're like ripping into what the strategy is for Food 52. And what was funny about it is, so I woke up, I've got like dogs everywhere. I'm like fumbling to find my glasses. I find my glasses, I read the email. And immediately I'm ticked off and start to respond. And I'm like writing the response bullet point by bullet point by bullet point. And then I was like, it's Sunday morning. I haven't even had a coffee yet. Like, it's a beautiful day outside. It's freezing. I'm so sick of the winter right now. I'm just sick of winter. I'm over it. But about halfway through getting like all heated up and pissed off, and I'm like, I don't have a bra on. Like, I'm just flopped in the bed. I'm like, this is a ridiculous way to live. Like, this is a ridiculous way to respond. And the reason I'm sharing that is that this still happens to me all the time. And I think one of the greatest things about work and one of the worst things about work is you have to deal with your temperament at work. So Sunday morning, I'm looking at this 2:06 a.m. email. I'm feeling all hot and bothered, not in a good way in bed. I'm like hot and bothered on the email. I'm like starting to respond. I'm getting mad. And then I was like, this is just a stupid way to spend my day. This is a really, really bad way to respond to a challenge about our business. And I think this does happen to everyone. And I think it's hard for me, certainly, and hard for a lot of people to get beyond it and to say, all right, I got an email. The email comes from a good place. The email comes from someone with a lot of passion for what this business should become. Everybody has their opinion. Everyone has perspective. There's got to be a lot of truth in that perspective. And I'm going to be mature enough and calm enough and secure enough to like take it and decide what I'm going to do with it. So I like kind of got out of bed. I got a coffee. I got dressed. I went on with my day. I still froze. It was freezing outside. These days I'm wearing like a full one-piece like diaper suit because it's just so cold. I'm like, I might as well dress like a toddler because it's just too cold outside. But I didn't respond until Sunday night at 7. And I thought actually not about responding at all until Monday. But then I was like, you know what? Like, I am thinking about it all day. It's kind of sitting around in the back of my head. But the more time I spent thinking about the email and really more importantly, thinking about the intention and the place it came from, as well as the opportunity that presented me to share, hey, I disagree with you on this point. I totally agree with you on another point. And here's how I think we can take your feedback and my experience and your perspective and my hope, and we can put those things together in a way that's a win for everybody. So I'm sharing that because my tip is to respond, not react whenever you can. Sometimes you will not be able to help it or avoid it, but whenever you can, to take that beat, to assume that something comes with positive intent, to try to understand what someone else's shoes feel like, and then to take a beat and take the moment to respond properly and thoughtfully. It can make a huge difference. If I had fired off that response that I wanted to on Sunday morning, I would have been fighting with my board all Sunday and probably all week long. But because I took a beat, because I thought about it, because I said, you know what, this person's right and they're wrong in this regard, and here's how I'm going to bridge the two, it actually made for a really good week of work. It made for progress in our business, and it made for a closer feeling because I got that feedback. So respond, don't react is my tip for the week.
Now work.
All right, so we had a busy week last week. Last Tuesday, we had a Nobody Cares event here at Food 52. I had created the Nobody Cares events when I wrote Nobody Cares About Your Career, and I thought it would be fun to do something where we bring people to Food 52. They could see how beautiful the office is. They could interact with the people who work here. It'd be a great experience to bring chefs and influencers and media people and some of the people from my past lives together to have a night of conversation about career. So we started this, I don't know, maybe last summer. It was awesome. Lindsay Shookus was our first guest. She was amazing. We've had a whole bunch of them. We've built this little community. We've met a ton of great people. We have some regulars who come back every time. We've got my New Hampshire girls. We've got Tiara. We've got this lady who always wears these fabulous coats and has these crazy glasses. But we had a really special event. I think we had one of our best events this week with Luke Fortney. So Luke was formerly of Eater. He calls himself a food reporter. He's got the biggest smile you've ever seen, just like voltage smile. And he talked about how he's moved to be an entrepreneur, how he thinks about reviewing restaurants, what that job means. He talked about when he wakes up every day, which is 10 a.m., which, you can't hate that. Lucky guy. Then we had Mike Chow. So Mike is the voice and the brains behind Food Baby. He does restaurant reviews with his kids. He's a software engineer by day. He talked about having a passion and a perspective on food and restaurants and family that he does for fun and that he doesn't want to be a business. And that was really what was special and funny about how he thinks about creating on the internet. And then we had Becky Malinsky, who comes from fashion. She's the author of 5 Things You Should Know on Substack. She worked for the Wall Street Journal. She worked for Vogue. She's kind of a well-known corporate stylist. I think she's awesome. There's a picture of me floating around the internet where I'm actually any picture floating that I look decent on the internet is dressed by Becky Malinsky. But what was cool about Becky as compared to Luke and Mike is that she's now built her own enterprise and she's become a media entity in her right just by virtue of her Substack. And she talked a lot about the discipline that goes with that, the drive that goes with that, and how she stays true and loyal to her followers. So that was an awesome event. We did that here at Food 52. We had a live show. We had our first live show at City Winery. My mom was there. Jessica Rose did a dance. Sarthik put it on. Devin, my girl Devin and her younger sister were the stars of the show and also the brains behind the operation. But I really left that event. Everyone there was so kind. We had Brittany from Bea Beauty. We had Tejas.
Huller.
Yeah, we had Tejas Huller. from YouTube, who also has like a billion wattage smile and is just so smart. And who else did we had? We had Jamie from Knock on Wood Antiques, who's a good friend of mine. And she's probably the best merchandiser I've ever met. And what was really special about the event is, I think, two things. One is that it was a really kind group. Like, I don't know if you felt this way, Sarthik, but it was like, it just was good vibes in there. Like,
it was great vibes.
Room of trust, big community. Everyone was locked in. People were supporting one another. There was this woman who was there. I had put this post on LinkedIn to invite people who were recently laid off or in between jobs where we would buy their ticket for them and they could come join us. And there was this one woman there looking like she was like about to cry. Like she was super nervous and kind of like tongue tied and by herself and kind of looking like, And I sat her down. There was another woman who came from Chicago and her coworker who came from Chicago or DC. And there was a woman there from Pittsburgh, and I just sat her down with them and they were so accepting. Like it was just so awesome. And it made me think about that work is so much of your identity is dialed up in who you are at work and how heavy that can be. And also what a relief it is to find other people who you can share and be vulnerable with about how you're changing in your identity and how work as an identity is changing for you. I thought that was like super special. I loved how everybody had so much to say. I actually think we'll do another one of these or a bunch of these. I thought they were.
It was your first time doing a live show, right?
It was my first time doing a live show.
How was that experience?
It was fun. I don't know. I was nervous. I didn't really pay attention to it till that day, which I was a little bit like, but it was good. I liked it. I like the community. The other thing was that Tejas was talking about how, influencers, which Tejas doesn't like to be called an influencer, but I think he's an influencer, it's about trust. It's like it's only about trust with the audience. And I actually feel like we have a lot of trust with our crowd and we have to keep that trust and give voice to other people in that trust. So I actually liked doing it. I'm like curious how much money it made. I keep asking how much money it made. I think it made like $50, but it was fun. I loved it.
So good that you want to take it on the road, maybe.
I think we'll take it on the road.
Okay.
I think we'll take it on the road.
Let's do it. Let's figure out a way.
I put a thing on LinkedIn. Somebody offered to host us in New York.
Lovely.
Somebody offered to host us in Philly.
Great.
And in Austin.
Oh, awesome.
I mean,
if any of our
global.
if any of our listeners also know how to help put up live shows and want to help us, reach out.
We would love that. We want to feature local people.
Now work.
This show is sponsored by BetterHelp. I love BetterHelp. We brought BetterHelp into Barstool Sports, and you would not believe what the Barstool people had to say about BetterHelp. I cannot speak highly enough about it. I would actually love to bring this into Food 52. What's awesome about BetterHelp is it is a way to get in touch with a therapist or a person you can trust and someone who you can get perspective and insight from just via text message. Like it's so easy. It's frictionless. It's a way to help yourself. It's a way to get perspective that you don't have on your own. And what BetterHelp has done is they have taken so much friction out of this process. There's 1,000 reasons why therapy is good for you. I have seen BetterHelp in action in my last company. I believe in what BetterHelp can do for people. I think 2025 is a new year. It's an awesome opportunity to make this your best year yet. That sounds cheesy, but it's true. At the very least, make this a year where you feel well. And BetterHelp is a platform that gives you access to over 30,000 therapists. They're at the tip of your fingers. You can switch therapists with zero cost, and they can help you get to the place you want to be in 2025. So if you go to betterhelp.com/workwitherica, that's betterhelp.com/workwitherica, BETTER help, HELP.com/workwitherica, and you get 10% off your first month.
Now work.
All right, now we're doing current events. It is a wild time in the US right now. It's been fascinating, kind of scary, overwhelming wow of what's happening in the Trump administration. And what I think is so interesting about it is just how fast he's moving. And I think if you work in business or you run a company or you have a startup or you're an employee, you just have to kind of marvel at the pace. The pace right now is just so fast. I was saying last night, normally you would have 2 confirmation hearings be the only story in the news. And you've got confirmation hearings. You've got Trump talking about making Gaza the Riviera. You've got Rubio in El Salvador saying that Americans should go to foreign prisons. I don't know if he's actually saying that, but you've got the confirmation hearings. You've got Elon. You've got the Department of Aid. You've got the tariffs. Like, it is a wild, wild, wild time. I think what's important about recognizing a wild time is, one, I think it makes people feel really out of control, and people do not do well when they feel out of control. So I think if you manage people, if you have a company with a lot of people, if you are a company in the consumer space, understanding that this is going to create whiplash and a sense of unease for your employee and for your consumer is definitely something I'm thinking about. The second thing I kind of got to this weekend is I had this pit in my stomach on Saturday night when the Canada and Mexico tariffs were announced. And I was like, holy shit, 25% tariffs. Like, that's a huge percentage. I had all my friends from Canada texting me being like, what the fuck? But it's scary, and it's like a buckle up time. Now, obviously, there's been a stay of execution, or tariffs aren't going to go into effect right away. But I do think that for anybody who has a business that is predicated on disposable income, people are nervous about their disposable income. So it's kind of a wild time. People are feeling super uneasy. I think this is going to be an administration that is just bombastic. And whether you love it or you hate it, really doesn't matter. It's just going to be choppy. And it's going to be the art of the deal. Like, something happens, there's a reaction to it, a deal gets struck. Like, that's my bet for how this moves forward. I was reading a really interesting article in the New Yorker yesterday about the new conservatives and just the party vibe and the celebration of new conservatives. And it's just creating this buoyancy and this ebullience about the future of America. Like, there's all sorts of new things that are really underfoot and that are feeling very big and feeling very loud. And so it's very noisy. And I think being able to be steady and being able to be calm and clear in that noise is a great skill for a leader. And it's also great skills for people who want to further their career and get things done, because you can stay focused on only really on what you can control. Speaking of, in this time, there's a lot of companies bringing people back to work. So Amazon announced that people are coming back to work 5 days a week. JP Morgan disabled the comments on their intranet because employees were complaining about going back to work. The thing I would say about that is, like, return to work is here to stay. I think some companies will be more conservative about that than others. Some companies will be more aggressive than others. Employees are pissed, right? It was nice to work from home. It was cushy to work from home. It was easier in some ways to work from home. I'm of the camp that working from home is kind of unhealthy. So I think it's a great thing for productivity. I think it's a great thing for community. I think it's a great thing for morale. And I also think it's a great thing for people's careers to go back to work. But for all those people who totally disagree with me, I think the biggest thing that's happening is companies are nervous. And companies are like, hey, we got to get our shit together. Trump is really putting an emphasis on America first, and people got to get moving. We got to get our mojo back. The federal government is either laid off or going back to work. So I think we're in a return to work is here to stay. I think complaining about it on your company's intranet is fine. I don't know that that's the most productive thing to do. I think if you want a remote job, then go look for a job from a company that only wants remote people. Go work for Spotify. They don't care. But I do think that to be competitive, to see your career grow, it's something that is here to stay, or here to stay certainly for a while. Work has obviously changed. There will always be some remote work. Everyone is set up for remote work, but I do think we are in a time of chaos and uncertainty and obviously a lot of newness, and companies are getting back to basics to help them steward what the next 3, 6, 9, 12, 24 months look like.
Now work.
All right, so we're doing generational knowledge. We have Ben Kraim, no middle name, just Ben Kraim with us. Are you the founder of this place?
I am the founder of Dumpling House Media.
Ben is the founder of Dumpling House Media. Describe what that is.
Dumpling House Media is a creative advertising agency. We work with a ton of brands in the spirit space, a bunch of cannabis brands, and that kind of sucked me into the world of legal cannabis. And now I have a bunch of offshoot companies in the cannabis space as well.
Oh, like what?
I have one company called Weed Feed,
Okay.
which is kind of evolving into this voice in the cannabis media space.
Ooh, cannabis has its own media space.
Yeah,
I like
absolutely.
this. Like a B2B. Is it for people in the biz or is it for consumers?
I'd say it's a little of both. It's such a like new and emerging market that like it's hard to niche down, but I'll get to the niches in a second. And so now we speak to businesses, we speak corporate, we speak evolving landscape in terms of regulation and law, but we also speak to the consumer and just talk culture and memes and make people laugh. And
you publish on where? Like TikTok, Instagram?
Instagram primarily. TikTok is super strict when it comes to cannabis, unfortunately. Instagram is too, but a dot more lenient and hopefully leading in that direction. We have
I feel like Mark Zuckerberg looks like he's microdosing. Like the new Mark Zuckerberg, not the old one.
Not even on mushrooms. I don't know what he's microdosing
I think it's probably
on.
like ketamine.
Yeah,
like
Elon's
for sure. Like doling it out with
he's
all
just
the
dripping
tech people.
like at all, just like at the meetings. Yeah, I feel that. 100%.
Okay, so this is cool. So what about a Substack? Have you thought about having a Substack?
I have thought about it, but I haven't done it yet.
Oh, you should do it.
Are you in that world?
I'm not in the world. I'm a nobody on Substack, but I really like it.
Yeah.
The CMS is the greatest thing I've ever seen.
I downloaded it. I think I published like one just random high thought at night once. And then I get the notifications all the time that basically are just a reminder that I'm slacking and I should get on.
Oh, okay. It's just Substack just makes you feel badly.
Yeah, exactly.
Which just makes you take more edibles or smoke more weed.
Yeah.
It's like a never ending cycle.
Yeah, exactly.
I think Substack has it's a weird culty community. It's weird. It's funny. And then the whole like, I'll subscribe to you, subscribe to me culture. I don't really like that.
Yeah.
But some of the people who are writing on Substack are the most brilliant people I've ever read.
I don't feel like I'm like this brilliant, eloquent like writer. I feel like I write the way I speak and I speak
think that
choppily.
Appeals. That's how I write.
Is it?
It's like grammatically incorrect.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
like doesn't make sense. I get half the shit wrong.
And is that okay?
I'm not very successful on Substack, so maybe not, but I think it's okay. Okay, so this is great. So then give an example of a campaign that you've done in the ad agency business.
Well, we've worked with a ton of brands. One of them that comes to mind is Can, which is a cannabis beverage.
Yep.
Another one is Olipop is a cool brand that we've worked with. For Olipop, for example, we harness the power of memes. And so at Dumpling House, we own a bunch of meme pages, and we also kind of have this network of meme pages that are essentially owned by my best friend since childhood, because for some reason we all
just love memes
and got into that world before, like at the very beginning of Instagram. And so I just really believe in like comedy as a means of
getting a point across.
Yeah, getting a point across, getting people to care, like, especially from an advertising perspective, I think people are just like hyper aware of brands' like desire to capture people's attention. And we all have like these blinders on that are just like, fuck you, stop trying to sell me shit. Am I allowed to curse here?
Yeah.
Okay, sweet, thank you. And I think comedy is this way of like making you feel something.
Yep.
And then you associate
and
that
then you
feeling with the
remember
brand.
it.
And then you remember it.
Yeah,
and then
totally.
you share it. And it's just like, honestly, it's the only way to do it. And when brands are like, oh, comedy isn't part of our brand, like we're serious. I'm like, I don't really know that I could help.
Yeah, I'm not your people.
Yeah, exactly.
And you have your own distribution built into it. That's very smart.
Yeah,
That's fun. Very smart. I just met with a friend of mine in the alcohol space. Everyone is moving to THC. Mushrooms, THC.
Yeah.
Alcohols I love alcohol, but it's kind of over.
Weirdly enough, I've been smoking for so long. I feel like I'll get killed for saying this, but I like low-key just discovered alcohol and I'm like drinking now.
It's so fun, right?
No one told me.
But then it's going to kill you.
Yeah, I know. I'm just in like a short phase. Like I didn't
you're just experimenting.
Yeah, I'm like a kid. Just
what's your drink of choice?
I love tequila.
Yeah.
I love wine. I don't know the stuff.
Do you like
I just
a Negroni?
drink it. I don't think so. Is there bitters in there or no?
Yeah, it's like really bitter orange.
I don't like that.
Okay, it's not for you.
It's not me. I'm like tequila, ginger beer, red wine. I just discovered a martini and I love savory and I love olives. And so I get it extra dirty.
It's like a hangover
olives.
Though. The next day you're like a salt lick.
I don't knock on all the woods, but I don't get hungover. And I got blackout for the first time in my life the other night.
How was it?
It was so fun. Like, I don't know if we should air this because this is like really bad. But I had a really good time. I mean, I'm not promoting alcohol excessively, of course, but I think it's healthy to just experiment and try a couple things. And my therapist gave me the sign off. So.
Oh, okay. And it's also good to let some steam off.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so my second to last question, then I'm going to ask you the real question. Do you tattoo your eyebrows?
No, but my sister just tweezed them. She's like, you need work. And she like held me down.
Oh, they look really nice. You have very thick eyebrows.
Thank you.
Okay,
they were thicker.
Well, that's, shout out your sister.
Yeah, shout out.
Okay, so the question for Ben is, what's your take on... What is it?
Should you?
Oh shit! Sorry. Oh, okay. Sorry. All right. So our question for Ben is: should you talk about your job online, in your socials? Like, how do you talk about your job? What's your take on what's the right way and the wrong way to talk about your job?
And is that a question from the perspective of an employer? Like,
no, from an employee
standpoint. Should an employee? But I'm saying like. As a boss, is it like you should or shouldn't, or as an employee, should you post? Like, is it the right thing to do, like to piss off your boss, or is it?
Well, that's a good question. So I think the question is it a good move or a bad move for you to talk about your job in your social media?
I think like
what if we worked together and then you just memed the shit out of me about how it was a nightmare to work for?
I would say that's a dangerous territory.
But probably effective.
At what? I mean, possibly getting fired. I don't know you specifically that well. But I mean, I would imagine you got to get sign off from a boss if you're going to start just publishing information or opinions about the company that you work for. Yeah. I mean, you don't have to, maybe legally. I don't know what your contract looks like, but you're just going to get in hot water.
Ooh, so that's a good point, Ben. So I think that I've always, most recently worked at places where it's encouraged to talk about work. Like I had a Substack yesterday that said the hand soap here sucked. And then I actually was like, am I going to get in trouble for saying that the hand soap is so bad?
Is it?
Like, I hope you wash your hands here. It's terrible, terrible experience. But then I was like, shit, is somebody going to get mad at me? Then I walked in the building today and I was like, do you think they're going to? Because then I also bitched about the fact that there's this guy downstairs who will not let you put stuff on the radiator. So like, when you're like cold and you're schlepping shit around and then you finally get into the building, you got to rifle through your bag to find your badge or whatever. He will not let you put something down on the radiator to get yourself together. And all I want to do now is just put something on the radiator. I can't help myself. Yeah. But then I walked in today and I was like, I just dogged them on the rent and the fact that their hand soap sucks. So I'm not even going to go for the radiator. But
I'm psyched to try the hand soap.
But it's probably a good question of what's in your contract is always good to know. And then probably the culture you work in. Like you work for JP Morgan and you're like, Jamie Dimon's a loser, like not going to go well. Yeah. But you work for the WWE and you're like promoting SmackDown tonight, or you're sharing a segment that you created, or you work for a sports company or media company, that's probably fine. You work for like a pharma company and you're like sharing the secrets, probably not fine. So definitely. I think it's probably situational.
I'd say situational. Yeah. If you work for a media company, a cool company, you're talking about your experience, get ready with me while I work for the coolest company in the world. Like, sure, fuck yeah, keep posting. Yeah. I feel like as just like an absorber of internet content, I've like seen, I don't remember what it was, so don't quote me, but I remember there was this one girl, she worked at a fast food spot. I feel like it was Chick-fil-A. I could be wrong. Okay. And she was like, she loved Chick-fil-A, which is an example because I'm not sure if it was Chick-fil-A or McDonald's. And she was like, hack, mix this dish with that dish. And like posts were going super viral. Mm-hmm. And like it was definitely increasing sales. Like people were going to try these like new mix combo things. And then she announced that like she got in trouble from corporate.
Yes.
And she had to like take it down, and then she ended up quitting, and then she got hired by another company.
There was like an era, a bunch of those stories. Do you remember the guy with the paint? Do you remember the guy? So there was this guy on TikTok who was just mixing like these mesmerizing paint videos where it was like, you know, like it's perfect for when you're high, like the and it was like these beautiful like kaleidoscope colors or whatever.
Yeah.
And he worked at like a hardware store mixing paint, and he got fired by the hardware store. And no, sorry. Maybe he worked for a paint company. He worked maybe for a paint company or hardware store. I can't remember. And then some other competitor paint company hired him.
That's the move,
I interviewed him, actually.
Really?
I interviewed him. Yeah. And he was like crushing it. Now he's the head of content at the other paint company.
Hell
so
yeah.
smart,
Yeah.
you know?
What about like sometimes people just in their bio, like if they work at a prestigious company or at a cool company, they'll just be like, sometimes they'll write their role, VP, whatever, at Apple or at Food 52. Sometimes they'll just write at Food 52. And then they'll post a story of them getting super blacked out drunk and having a really good time. Or like smoking weed, which is...
So if you were the boss, what do you do in that?
As I'm cool boss, you know? So I'm like, live, do you, we're all human, you know, let's go. But that's a question.
That is a big question. I'm also in the live and let live category. And if there was a camera on me when I was in my 20s, like that would have been ugly. But I do think if you're going to put it in your title, in your ballot, in your
bio or whatever,
in your bio, and you do something really terrible, or you know, then it's not so great. So I also think if you're going to be public about where you work or what you do or who you work for or how it goes, you got to own it both ways.
There you go. I think that's a fair statement.
If you're going to put it out there, then you have the consequence of it being
right. You're like, I'm a representative of
this.
And now it's like, I would veer away from it. I don't know. I feel like the internet's weird. It's about to get a whole lot weirder. Like there's nothing you will ever say on the internet that won't be easily discoverable in 10 years from now. And I just think, I mean, it's weird because I work in social media, but I think the more anonymity, the better, the more vagueness, the better, the less like, I don't even like using my full legal name on the internet because it's like, you could Google someone's name and get their grandma's address.
You get everything
and the value of their home.
Yeah,
like it's so
your mother
creepy.
gets like a scam in her inbox.
Exactly. Yeah. I heard of this great scam, horrible but genius scam, where it's like people will call you and you'll be like, hello, who's this? And they'll just use that.
Oh, to be your voice ID.
To maybe this is what you mean, to like you give that to AI and then AI learns your voice and then they call your mom and say, hey mom, I'm in trouble, mail me money to this thing. So now when I answer numbers, I'm like, hola, you know, and someone's gonna call my mom and be like, mommy, and she's be like, you're not my son, bye.
That is how we're going to end this. That's a perfect end to this. Thank you for joining us. We appreciate you.
Of course. Yeah, my pleasure. Thank you.
That's funny. Okay, that was great.
Now work.
We're back with George. Hi, George. Welcome back.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Let's talk about SG&A. What does SG&A mean?
That is a great question. So SG&A stands for Selling, General, and Administrative Expenses.
So it's a category of expenses that a company has.
It's a category of expenses that a company has. And usually when you look at a company's SEC filings, you will see a P&L with 6 line items.
Okay, what are the 6?
They will have marketing.
Okay.
Payroll, SG&A, and other operating expenses, and interest, taxes,
depreciation and amortization.
Those are the main. I mean, of course, you have the gross margin worked down with revenue and COGS, but below gross margin, those are the main things. So it's sort of this catch-all.
Okay, so for the liberal arts school majors, SG&A is a way to categorize a certain type of expenses. These expenses have to do with revenue?
These expenses have to do with revenue and administration.
Revenue and administration. So all those corporate wonks that your company is paying for, people like me and George, expenses that we would have to administrate the company would fall in the SG&A line.
Exactly.
Do commissions fall in SG&A?
It depends. So selling expenses, trade shows, slam dunk, yes. It's subjective if a company puts its commissions in COGS.
Okay.
Or in SG&A.
All right, let's play this game. T&E for salespeople.
SG&A.
An upfront event.
SG&A. The S of SG&A.
Sale. Pens and paper.
Could be in administrative, could be in other operating.
Salaries of people in administration?
Usually payroll is its own line.
Okay.
But SG&A can be a catch-all that includes payroll. Usually payroll would be its own line.
What about rent?
SG&A, administrative.
Yes. What about electricity?
Administrative, or it could be an occupancy expense, which would be with rent, but it depends.
Occupancy doesn't fall in SG&A.
Occupancy, it depends. So SG&A, there's no rule on what can be in SG&A.
But you have to have a consistent practice in your company. Otherwise, I'm guessing your auditors are like,
The only rule is that all of your expenses were associated with the revenue earned in that period.
Okay, fine. So it's like paper, pens, airfare, this, that, and the other thing. If it was in January, when you're doing your deduction calculation, they have to be mapped to January revenue.
Exactly.
Now, this is where I'm guessing the amortization comes in, which is how much of an expense is booked to January versus paid in January, but that's a different segment of this.
Well, that is so funny because there's two types of amortization.
This is how finance people keep themselves in business. I just want to be super clear.
Yeah, it's actually funny.
You just make things fucking complicated for the rest of us.
Because I would use amortized to you if we were incurring a selling expense that was amortizable across a 4 or 5 months because we were going to get the benefit of that. Or
for example, I just paid, if I was running Erika Inc. and I just paid this Lithuanian graphic designer for a logo, I would amortize that expense over the lifetime of my podcast.
Basically 3 to 5 years, there's standards around
Okay, got
that.
it. Yep. Okay, understood.
But I think amortization is a word that actually means spread over periods.
Understood.
So it's not the same as the amortization in EBITDA because only very certain assets are amortized.
In the EBITDA world.
In the EBITDA world. Yeah.
Okay, great. So SG&A is a line item on your P&L that covers a set of expenses that is up for the company to decide what fits in that. But generally, those expenses have to do with the running of a company or the administration of a company and the administration or revenue generating activities of that company.
That's exactly right. The other nuance is if I showed you SG&A, you would say, what else is in there? Because it's such a broad category that's all encompassing that it's something that's used more frequently with public companies to put somewhat of a veil on things.
Okay, so it's like, do you in your kitchen have a junk drawer? You don't?
My husband does.
But you share the junk drawer? No?
I don't really do much in the kitchen.
Okay, well, fine. But in every, do you have a junk drawer?
Yes, I do.
Everyone has a junk drawer. I'm sorry. But it may not be a drawer, but it's that place where the scissors and the tape and all this shit goes in.
Oh, that's my desk.
Okay, that's your desk. But SG&A is like the junk drawer of your P&L.
Okay, got it. Yeah.
Do you agree?
Yeah. It is the junk
you
drawer.
Throw a bunch of stuff in there.
I would never use SG&A because I like to look at selling expenses differently. I like to look at
you're
rent.
I want to
see
the
apart. Detail.
Yeah.
But it's what public companies use because there's SEC standards or the stock market standards for reporting that standardizes even the reporting that companies can use
for SG&A.
For SG&A and for all expense line items.
And private companies like ours also have an SG&A line item. You may not treat it the same way as a public company CFO would treat their SG&A line item.
Correct.
Right?
I would have 5 lines. I would show you 5 lines so we can make decisions on.
Yeah, you're like, I'm not going to lump it into one. We're going to pick apart commissions or we're going to pick apart rent.
Exactly.
We're going to pick apart T&E.
Exactly.
Which is a really fun exercise, actually. That's
T&E reviewing is
T&E is the best part of a finance person's job. Yes,
it's like watching Bravo.
Oh, it's the best.
Yeah.
T&E is just the gift that keeps on giving.
Exactly. No, it is fun voyeurism.
Yes.
Especially watching what all the salespeople are doing and where they're going and who they're having lunch
I
with.
love a sales T&E review. That's one of my favorites. Where they don't see you coming and you're like, why aren't you spending more money?
Exactly.
Why are you not out entertaining people?
Exactly.
If you are a salesperson listening to this, spend your expense budget with clients.
And hit your numbers.
All right. Thank you, George.
Thank you. This is so fun.
Now work.
Okay, we're doing Strategery. Today's Strategery is touch base. I am super guilty of using the touch base word. So touch base, I think it means what you think it means, which is, hey, let's check in with each other. Let's see where this thing is. Let's get on the same page about what we're doing and what needs to happen next or what's happened to date. But the other thing about touch base is it's like a passive aggressive way to micromanage. And where people bristle when it comes to touch base is they're like, hey, you don't really mean like touch base and give you my update and hear your update. What you're actually trying to do is own me and control me and micromanage what I do every day. So I use touch base a lot. Maybe I'll try not to use it. I think this is a less offensive Strategery word, but I do think if you say, let's touch base, that you should really be thinking about why do you want to touch base so much? Like, are you actually trying to just sync up and get clear and move on? Or are you trying to get your claws into what everyone else is doing so that you have a say about it?
Now work.
All right, so our last section is things that I'm struggling with at work. I think I opened this whole thing with things I'm struggling with at work, which is a lot of things, but I love the struggle. The struggle is real. But one thing I've been thinking a lot about at work as I watch other people struggle is I think it would be great if we all spent more time thinking about how the message you're giving lands with someone else. Like, what is it that we're all trying to project? What is it we're all trying to accomplish? What is it that we all have to do? And how are we going about doing it? I don't know. I've been thinking about it. I saw this meme on the internet the other day. It was like a fake billboard. And it was like, stop venting to colleagues at work. Half of them don't care, and the other half just want something to gossip about later. And I think that's totally true. I think people are bored at work. People are looking for like something titillating to talk about. Like there's only so much you can talk about Kanye at the Grammys or Taylor Swift not winning or whatever. I am in a rabbit hole of Kanye's wife. I don't know. I just am like, I'm fascinated by that lady. Anyways, but that's neither here nor there. But I do think that one thing that happens, I've been having a lot of one-on-ones this week and with people who I don't usually have one-on-ones with. And in particular, there was like this one group of people who I just have never touched here because I'm like, hey, they're hitting their goals. Their manager isn't really giving me the signal that they would like me to get engaged with their team. And this week I'm realizing like, I should have like gotten in with that group a whole long time ago. But one thing that I am observing in that group and just observing in general is that like misery loves company. And it's so easy at work to get just caught in just like the bitching. Like there is so much stuff to bitch about at work. There's so many stupid things that happen every day at work. There's so many decisions that get reversed or things that get cut or answers that aren't given or people who don't respond or people who write stupid emails or people who say dumb things or people who waste your time. Like there's so much of that happening that it's so easy to then waste more time and create this bad energy cloud just by like complaining about it. And I had this like really good one-on-one today with this person was like complaining about everything. And I was like, you know what? Like that sounds really shitty. You have every right to complain, but also like, what have you done about it? Like if the tech is so bad, like the tech guy is like sitting right over there on the corner, like munching popcorn, like, why don't you be like, hey, Dave, I have some feedback on the tech, or I'd love to show you what I'm going through so we could try to fix it. Like, I think a lot of times we get caught in our own feelings and our own emotion and our own ego and our own thought bubble, that you're not like, hey, this is a problem and I'm going to actually attempt to solve for it. Or, hey, I know I should probably communicate this in a way that's productive, but it's easier for me just to complain about it. So I'm just going to sit here and complain about it. So I think my message, and this is kind of rambling, is that if you are feeling like you're disconnected from a team, or you're feeling like you're disconnected from your boss or from a colleague or from someone who's important to you at work or who's important or imperative to you getting stuff done, and maybe stuff's going awry or it isn't going great, make the effort to connect. Like, make the effort to be like, hey, I wanted to sync up with you. I was going to say touch base. I wanted to sync up with you. And, here's how I think it's going. How do you think it's going? Or here's what I think the biggest problem is. How do you think we could solve it? Like, getting to the bottom of stuff can be super, super productive, and it can be super fulfilling. And I think in general at work, it's a choice if you want to spend your time complaining about stuff, which I agree with the meme, everybody's just going to gossip about later, or if you want to get busy solving stuff. And I'm really trying to surround myself with people who want to solve stuff and get stuff done, because I too can get lost in the like, who said what to whom and did what, how, and they stink and why. But it doesn't actually make me feel good, and it doesn't actually accomplish anything. And the more I think at work you can be focused on being fulfilled and being productive and being communicative and being a good partner, whether you're somebody's boss or you work for somebody or you're their partner or a colleague, I think that can make work most fulfilling. All right, so that's it. Couple housekeeping things for us. If you would please rate and review and subscribe to the pod. You can also tell us what you would like us to talk about. I'll talk about most anything. So if you have a topic that you want us to cover, put it in the comments and we'll do it. You can follow me at Erika on Instagram. It's at Erika_ on TikTok. It's Erika on LinkedIn. I think you'll be able to find me. My other thought, it's our third episode. We haven't gotten any exit interviews, but we're here waiting. We got the 800 number. We're ready for you. And it's 866-85 Ask Erika. That's 866-85 Ask Erika. Or if you have trouble with letters, it's 866-852-7537. And you can leave us a voicemail really about anything. We'll take it. But we would love to hear if you're leaving a job, if you've just gotten laid off from a job, if you think your boss is an absolute boob, just leave us a voicemail about it. And we will not say who you are, but we will give other people the benefit of your opinion. And we will see you back here next Monday.